Well, hello, everybody. This is Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. I'm your host, Tony Renfro, and down at the bottom of the screen is my co-host, Raylene Berry. Today, our guest is going to be Robert E. Lewis, and Robert is an expert in the home buying segment of Texas, South Texas, East Texas, North Texas, wherever you are. Robert helps us, has been doing this for a while. And believe it or not, I was just saying that 3 years ago, I started doing the COVID podcasting, giving out information. And Robert was my first guest. And we talked about this then, and we're going to talk about it now. But before we do that, let me give you that. Let me go into this segment. Knowledge is Power Podcast Live is a platform to share important information by educating Southeast Texas African American communities with valuable information and health, education, financial, politics, and business. So let me turn this music down a little bit so we can move on with the show. And I'm going to move you over here, Robert. Over here, but we move on this screen here, and right there now we're going to sit down here and let you do your thing.
That's right.
Okay. Well, good evening, good afternoon to everybody. We're gonna be brief because I know it's football time, right?
Yeah.
So, also want to thank you, Mr. Tony, for like you said, it's been 3 years, man, and time is so valuable. And with us being busy and live and things, living our lives and things of that nature, it could get past you. So appreciate the friendship, the mentorship, and the opportunity to come on your platform again. And when you reached out to me, I was just finishing a training talking about the importance of home ownership, especially in our community, right?
Right.
And in light of inflation across the board and just what we've been through as far as the pandemic and things of that nature, some folks are starting to become discouraged or dismayed and thinking that that's not the thing to do. Moreover, our younger folks, I'm now uncle to some folks, right? I'm not in your generation, but I'm older to some people, and I'm noticing in those cohorts, the millennials and the Zers that are getting ready to get into this housing market over the next 5 to 10 years. There's been some marketing going on to make them believe that home ownership is not what they want to do. So that's the root of what I wanted to speak about today. If you want me to move forward, I'll just jump right into it.
Go right on to it, Robert.
That's right.
So home ownership in our community is vital in this aspect. Not many of us will seek to invest in equities or the stock market and things of that nature, right?
Right.
So I like to use stories as I teach and things of that nature. I like to share a little story about my mother, okay? Bought a home years ago. Actually, the second home, my father passed years ago. But long and short, we got that thing paid off in 15 years. Now, where she is in life, that home is actually providing rental income and helping subsidize the income that she's getting in. And had she not had that home, guys, in this environment, it would be a lot tougher, not just on her, but on everybody, because we would all have to chip in more, right?
Right.
So the first thing I want to encourage folks on in this time is if you are wanting to buy a home, those are the only people I'm speaking to, because I'm not from the mindset or the camp that everyone should own. There's not absolutes in anything. But if you are from the mindset that you want to buy and you've been discouraged, I think one of the things that discourages a lot of folks today is the beautiful technology that we're using to speak to each other tonight, right?
Right.
Social media paints a picture that it has to be a certain way, grandiose, things of that nature. I want to encourage folks that getting on the ladder is more important than where you end up. Meaning, you don't have to buy a McMansion your first time. The home that I aforementioned with my mother is very modest, but in the environment that we're in, because home or shelter is one of the highest, if not the number one basic need that we all have. People don't want to live outside, right? So people want to rent.
Right.
And so because she is able to do that at a time that it didn't feel comfortable, it never feels comfortable. It may have been in a situation where I had to step down in some places to understand and realize the bigger picture down the line, your future self, as I like to say. Um, that's what I want to encourage you guys to not be discouraged and look at social media because, as the young folks say, most of that stuff is cap. It's cap.
That's true.
They lying.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Making it
yeah.
up, making it up.
Yes, ma'am. So you know what? I don't want to. Do you guys have any questions, or anything that you want to ask as I'm going through, or you want me to keep rolling?
I have a quick question. You said that you're noticing the generation. Do you think that social media has a great impact on why millennials and the Z's don't see home ownership the way our generation did?
I really do, and it's not a knock against them. I was speaking with my wife prior to us coming on, right? And she was listening to a testimony of one of the elders that lived in the deep South at a time, and he was testifying how his dad had to, slaughter all of these animals and on a daily basis, only to come up owing the company $5 at the end of the month. And say all that to say this: with the younger folks, they don't know what they don't know, and because of social media and some of the behaviors and the dopamine hits that we get, and the false sense of reality. Again, I think it's a concerted effort to make them believe that you don't want to take the responsibility of owning, only for them, to your point, to get to the age of 40 and wake up and be like, oh snap, I don't have nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
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 So again, love the technology. I love social media, but what I would challenge folks to do is, all these folks with these expensive, go outside in your neighborhood and count all these expensive cars and big houses. They're not out there. It's TV,
That's right.
right?
Mhm.
And so again, don't want to be a old Scrooge or anything of that nature. No disrespect to the elders, but we really have to get with our younger folks, and not even younger folks. I mean, I'm seeing people, older than 50, and that's the first time buying a house. And so you think from 20 to 50, for whatever reason, you can't get that time back. And, you're starting or getting on the ladder there. Great for you. But for the younger folks coming on, if you can delay gratification, okay? Not buy that expensive car. Mr. Tony, man, I'm seeing $1,500 car notes out here. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is
It's
crazy.
crazy. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
You know what I mean?
The average car payment now is $750.
50 bucks.
That
Mhm.
means
That's
you.
crazy.
That means you cannot buy a car less than $20,000 today. There is none.
There is none. Yes.
So community wise, when I sit back and try to give solutions, let me kind of get into that. And again, I'm going to use an example because I practice what I preach. I got fruit on my tree. My daughter, and this is for the young folks. You got to hear this. First of all, student loans, car payments. You need them, okay, but you have to be strategic with them, because most of us are coming from, we're starting off at zero.
Right.
And then when you get out of school and you have that burden of that debt, a lot of you guys are hoping and wishing and praying for them and I hope they do forgive the student loans for folks, but I don't see it happen. Okay.
Mhm.
So you really have to be strategic. And so my daughter, she was able to, she stays with me. She lives at home. Okay. Her car is paid for.
That's right.
And all praises to the Most High. When she gets out of school, she's not going to owe any student loan debt. Talking to the parents, we got to quit kicking them out at 18. Okay.
Come on now.
And we, I'm sorry, go ahead. Somebody
That's it. That's right.
No,
I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you. Mhm.
And we have to invest in them, because if not, everybody just keeps, it's a generational curse. Everybody
Right.
keeps starting off
Absolutely.
at zero.
Absolutely.
You see? So the reason a lot of us can't do that, we want to, but the 55% of most of our wealth is in the home, because we're not investing.
That's right.
You see? And
Right.
for the 1-2% of folks that are in the equity, shout out to you, because there's a renaissance of that going on now. But because of the lack of acumen and the lack of discipline and short-term, dopamine hits, we don't understand it takes time to build, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, social media has it's like anything else. It's good and it's bad, but as a community, we need to take our younger folks, we need to take a step down, and we need to let them know, hey, this is an investment. You might not be able to Netflix and chill all the time right now, right? But in a minute, you're going to be happy. Or if you're not going to buy, then you have to invest. You have to grow your money. You have to.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm preaching. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So just show us how to buy. How can we start off first and buying a home then?
So the first place I would recommend, Mr. Tony, is at home. You have to mentally be a homeowner. How do you do that, Robert? Well, if you're renting, how are you renting that person's home? A lot of times when we go in these neighborhoods, we can tell who's renting, right? Start there mentally. Second place is I want to gather my documents, my pay stubs, my bank statements, my tax returns, my W-2s if I'm a W-2 employee, and I want to sit down and I need to know my numbers real quick. And let me not real quick. Let me slow down. It blows my mind how many of us grown folks don't know where our tax returns are.
Yes.
Okay. So we need to get in a habit of collecting these items, even if someone prepares them for you. If the I, R, and the S come a knocking, you have to you sign for that stuff. You need to know where it is.
Right.
So just in those two steps alone, as we start becoming more comfortable with looking at these documents and understanding what they mean, I think that's the first two steps that we need to have. From there, we can then determine, all right, how much money do I really have? I love VA loans.
Right.
And this is why I love VA loans. They have a calculation called the residual income calculation. And it's simply this, Mr. Tony. They're making sure that you have a certain amount of money left over from your net income, not your gross. Because we're going to qualify you on your gross, but we all know we live on the net.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So if anyone wants to find out what that is, you see that QR code right here, over here?
Yes.
Take a snapshot of that QR code. I know I'm talking fast because I want y'all to get to the game. But you can, there's a little video there. I introduce myself. You can either schedule a consultation or submit an application, because that would be the next step. After those first three steps, then you need to say, okay, I want to speak to someone and educate myself more with a consultation. Or, hey, I'm ready to apply because now I have the minimum documents that I'll need to apply so that I could get a baseline to determine if I need to wait, if I need to work on credit. So while we're waiting with a purpose, okay? Or to determine how much that I can purchase. And then from there, depending on what avenue you're in, okay, either credit needs to be worked on, I'm saving some more money, I want to pay down some debt or what have you, or I need to make more money. While you're doing that, then you need to become an expert in the area that you want to buy in. Okay,
That's right.
the schools, the homes. You should be, when it's time to get with a realtor. Okay, their job really is to negotiate for you. Okay, but you need to know where you want to live. You need to know the school district. You need to know that area so well to where when it's your time to move to strike, you can. Because you guys can remember a couple of years ago during the pandemic, rates were 2%, Mr.
Right.
Tony.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
But a lot of us couldn't buy
Right.
because we didn't have our documentation together, right?
Right.
And there is a shortage of homes. So stated another way, it's competition. So whoever's prepared has their documentation in line, you're first to get in line. And you might have to spend more and things of that nature. But when rates come down here again, it's going to be another feeding frenzy because there's not a lot of homes.
Right.
That's right.
You see? So again, rehash 3 steps, determine where you are, work on the things that you need to work on while you're waiting to strike to take your opportunity. And then the last thing is you got to partner with the right people. In our community, we got that boogeyman syndrome. Because of what I do with the money. Money is a commodity. It's like bread. Okay. Interest rates are dictated every day. If you are someone that likes to press the flesh, one thing the pandemic did for us, it was a paradigm shift, a mind shift. I was on it before, but I'm a trailblazer. I do more. I don't have brick and mortar anymore. Don't need it. And I say all that to say this. You'll hear things like, this place is better and this place is better. All of that is puffery. That's what it's called. It's marketing. Okay. We need to learn how to run the numbers. We don't run numbers because we're not prepared documentation wise. See, back to the documentation. And then once we do an application, it takes so much work to do one application. We don't want to shop. And
That's
we go
right.
to the first person that someone says to go to. No disrespect. That's how we, trust things. We trust our family members and things of that nature, but you got to pay the bill.
That's right.
Right. So when it comes to lending, loan estimate is the name of the document. That's an itemized estimate of fees and things of that nature. And when you apply, at minimum, you need to apply with 2, no more than 3 people. Let me hush.
Now, say that again. Say that one more time.
When you apply, you need to apply minimum with 2, no more than 3.
That's right.
That's
Now,
true.
now tell them why. Why is that?
Why?
Just tell that.
Because as a lender, what people don't realize, all of our rates are not the same, because you may be dealing with someone that has a big, pretty commercial building and employees. Well, they got to pay for that.
Right.
And those costs are baked in their fees.
That's right.
You see? And if you just go to the first person, no disrespect, I've always been trained to trust but verify.
Amen.
Okay?
There you go.
And I'm willing to compete, because, and then I also say this, as far as you shopping, understand sometimes things are more expensive, right? So it's not always a race to the bottom. I know with folks that deal with me, typically only people that are going to beat me are credit unions, and that's if they just want to get a certain cohort of people because they're lending their monies. But my margins are so low because we're very efficient and I use the technology. But you may be someone that likes to go sit down and talk with somebody. Well, you have to know who you are as a consumer. Right. All I'm saying is, with that though, make sure you understand what it is that you're doing, and just don't get scared into going to one person. We have to get out of that mindset. And I do loans nationwide. I've done a ton of business. Mr. Tony, I know you for 3 years, man. Have we met face to face?
No, we have not. Never.
Yeah. But like the scripture says, man, you judge a tree how? By
the fruit.
Right.
And it bears. I got fruit out here.
Right.
And it's remaining.
Right.
And the church said,
Amen.
They said I was a preacher, but let me stop.
Well, do you think that we as a people tend to go with the first person out of loyalty, or do you have an idea what's going on there, that we always kind of jump with that first person?
To be honest with you, I think it's just a little laziness.
Yeah, okay, I hear you. I hear you talking there.
It's so hard to get these documents. Lord have mercy.
Yes.
And by the time you get it, they don't want to do it again.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's something that I do. Everything that I do, I have a copy of. We take the taxes, we put it in a certain place every year. We know where to go to get it. Now, you can download it to your computers and things like that.
Yeah.
And put it in a folder. But everything, I started a new business about 4 months ago, and by going to get an LLC, getting the certificate of formation, getting the minutes of the trip, I knew that I was going to need that to go to the bank and open up accounts. So not just with one bank, with 8 banks. So I knew that by making copies of each one of those documents, I was going to need. And I brought those copies to each bank, but I kept a copy at home to have on file.
Yeah.
And that's why you had all your papers and all your ducks in a row, so you won't have those issues when you go to those banks to file for financing.
And the only thing is I was going to add to that is that you're talking about the millennials and the Zers, as you call them.
Mhm.
I laugh. I'm big in technology. Okay, so when I had this house built, you guess what? I had all of my documents on a thumb drive. Okay, because you never know what extra something they may ask you for.
Yes, ma'am.
And so nowadays people, we're doing things electronically, and if you come in with your documents, I'm not saying don't do that. It's just that sometimes they got to go make copies of it, they got to go
Right.
scan it or whatever else.
Hmm.
But having it on that thumb drive, that nowadays the thumb drives are so little, you can just put it in your pocket, or there are some now that are like business card size. So put your documents on there, secure them, because that's your personal records.
Right.
But have you seen people coming in electronically, or would you recommend that?
I would,
Mm-hmm.
and with myself, the way we're even beyond that point now.
Mm-hmm.
My POS, my point of sale. Uh, if you're not afraid, uh,
Right.
you can authorize. I could go directly to your bank,
Right.
download the statements that we need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can go directly to the IRS, download the documents that we
Right.
need, right, and your pay stubs. So, to your point, you know what? Before I go, the answer to your question is yes. But let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
In that transaction that you just completed,
Mm-hmm.
what was did your loan officer like working with you?
Actually, yes. I actually, for me, I created a relationship. I'm really big on relationship building.
Hmm.
Okay, even when you're talking about three people,
Hmm.
if I don't feel comfortable with you, we talking about a lot of money here.
Yes, ma'am.
So, in order to be able to do that, I need to know that you're speaking on my behalf and vice versa, and that we're in this together. And so, I did find that I think it was the second one. I did do a couple of different people that I spoke with, but the second one was the one that really was. I knew that they were somebody that had my interest in it,
Yes, ma'am.
and I bought right before the pandemic, and
Hmm.
was having it built, and I was in the Philippines, so I needed to do the virtual at the time. So I love how you were talking about that. Is that we can still build relationship without even shaking hands this way, and I felt like that was a good relationship. And I wanted to piggyback off of that about how do you think about building relationships with the lenders as well as your real estate, because a lot of people talk about the real estate agent, they don't talk about the lender.
And no disrespect to the agents,
Uh-huh.
but unless you're paying cash, you need to come see us first.
Right, exactly, I
You,
agree.
you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
again, it's marketing
Yes.
and for the community. And I appreciate you giving us your experience, because I can just tell by speaking with you and you having your documents prepared, your process, and you were in another country,
Hmm.
right? We,
Hmm.
we got folks local that have nightmares and they don't understand that this is a difficult process because your documentation is everywhere.
Yes.
You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah,
And
you got to have it
so,
in one place.
yeah, everybody's always trying to sell, sell, sell. I am a staunch believer that generational wealth, they were throwing that around like whatever a couple of years ago, right?
Hmm.
But most of these folks out here throwing it around is they're Johnny, they're just trying to get money.
Right.
This is what I've done for 20 years. This is what I do.
Hmm.
Okay. And if done right, this is a integral cog in your will to create that wealth.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to relationships, 3.0,
Hmm.
this is what it is going forward, guys.
Hmm.
And we got to get out of the dot com. We passed the dot com.
Yes, we are.
And
Hmm.
so I see it in the income reflection back to the young folks. I want to keep not disrespecting older people, but older folks, when you get bad habits, they just bad habits. I'll work with you if we can, but we
Hmm.
got to get the younger folks in line.
Right.
And here's what I mean by that. You got to start going to school and getting into careers that are commensurate with $120,000 a year and plus.
Hmm.
100,000 a year is probably about 60,000 in real life.
Hmm. That's true.
You see, and then you get the student loans, you get the job, and you get the car, and you can't get a house.
Mhm.
and nobody wants to tell us that,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But I appreciate the platform. Sometimes I rub people the wrong way, but I really love hard, and
Mhm.
I'm telling you what I'm seeing in other communities. They're not tripping about the interest rate because it's a short term. We're gonna acquire the asset and reposition when rates come down.
Right.
Right.
You see, we have to
Mhm.
change the
The
mindset. We're
mindset.
always looking for the low,
Mhm.
and our income has not increased. Student loan has increased, but the types of professions we're going in are not commensurate with the money.
Mhm.
A lot of us would be better suited to go into this AC. If your AC goes out right now, either one of you, are you gonna pay for it? Are you gonna question? No.
You gonna have to pay for it.
You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So we've poo-pooed and looked down
Mhm.
on certain things in the name of education, but when we run the numbers, I see folks all the time, $200,000 teachers. That's not gonna work.
Right.
No disrespect. And
Mhm.
women, shout out to you, single women especially, going forward the next 5 to 10 years, black women are the most educated people in America,
Mhm.
and that's facts. Then we have Hispanics. Look in your neighborhood. I know because I do a lot of loans. How many Hispanics are going into what we consider the hood and buying up the hood?
That's right.
You see,
Mhm. That's
Right.
true.
and a lot of those folks don't even have documentation. They rate 10, 15%. You
Mhm.
see,
Right.
That's
so
true.
we got to start changing the narrative. And so knowledge is power. That's,
Mhm.
you can tell I'm not in here selling. I'm selling, but I'm not selling. Because
Right.
if you for me, you for me. But point is, real estate is important. And if you're not going to invest in real estate where you live, there's real estate investment trust, there's REITs. Not going to get into that because I don't have those licenses. Okay. This is just educational purposes. But point I'm making is we have to make more money or you have to grow your money. And just like the football games going on, no disrespect, we entertained enough.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's true.
But anyway, I'm gonna get kicked off. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. Let me stop. So I don't know if I hit it, Mr. Tony.
Yes, you did. You hit it right on the head, man. We just wanted to be educated on,
Yeah.
and our community to be educated on what's the concept, what's the process of buying a home, and
Yes,
what
sir.
do you have to? Because I know I've met a lot. I've met a lot of young professional, young people who has good jobs and wants to buy a home,
Yeah.
but one of the problems they run into is that they went into it backwards.
Mhm.
They got the student loans, they got the car, and now they want to buy a house. Well, now they DT debt to income is out of line.
As out of line. Yes.
Well, there's
Mhm.
been a lot of changes along that front too, Mr. Tony. And again, I want to encourage folks because in your area, man, there's a lot of folks making good money.
Yeah,
But if they would go and do that 3-month survey on their bank statements, they'll find that they're wasting a lot of money.
Right.
Right?
Got to go back to the you talked about preaching. You got to go back to being a good steward of the stuff that you do have,
Yeah.
and with a proper budget, then they can start seeing where their money is going. I did that last year and realized that I was paying for subscriptions over here, one subscription after another that I ain't even used, and found $200 really quickly, and that's money I can put aside for something else. So yeah, there's a lot of things that we
Yeah.
need to look at our budget at our bank accounts
But
more.
before we go, and you're
Mhm.
right, just some more tangible things. F conventional loans have done a lot for affordability.
Right.
So with student loans, you guys have had a 3-year respite with no incurring of
That's right.
interest,
Hmm.
right? They're coming back. So you need to do an income-based repayment plan. That's
Yes.
basically a payment that's going to be factored on whatever your income is.
Hmm.
Please don't let them go into default if they
mhm,
come back.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
one thing. Number two with that is FHA has come out. We don't have to account for 1% of the outstanding student loan debt anymore, right? It's a half of 1%. That helps with your DTI. In the areas that you guys are in, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac has an area median income calculator. You need to put your address in, and I can send that to you, Mr. Tony. You can put it up on your page, but If you're at 80% or less of the area median income, I have a loan right now to where if you're buying at 360 or less, which is a lot of those homes in that area, I can get you in with 1% down. The lender, the investor that I'm selling it to, is giving you 2% in a grant. That's free money, gratis, and they're paying the private mortgage insurance.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So there's loan products out here. We have to get off of YouTube and the sideline where people are with the boogeyman stuff. The housing market is going to crash. It hadn't crashed.
No, it
No.
hasn't.
There's not enough homes.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
No,
and
it
every
hasn't.
year home prices keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
And they're going up.
yeah. So you gotta sit down. If that's you, follow those steps that I said, and then okay, once you have your numbers together, now you apply, because applying is just not your name and pull my credit. We can't really assess where you are.
That's right.
You
That's
see?
only one picture.
You see? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, Robert E. Lewis.
You're welcome. Thank
And
you.
Robert is the branch manager with American Mortgage Bank. And this is what he do for a living every day, 24 hours a day. So we appreciate your just your information, Robert. And I know the word is going to get out, and we're going to keep it going. Anything else we can ask you before we go?
No, sir. I appreciate it. Like you said, I think we hit it on the head. Guys, if I could be of assistance to you, you can follow me on the socials there, heavy on YouTube. We do a home show, a weekly video. And Mr. Tony will tell you, man, I've helped more people and not done alone with them than I can shake a stick at. So what I would ask is you don't abuse that, because I do have to take care of my family as well.
All right.
But I'm about the people, man. All
Okay.
people.
I will send my referrals to you, Robert.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
It's great having you on Knowledge is Power podcast. Everybody, we'll see you next Sunday.
All righty.